Hello everyone, my name is Rajesh Pichaimani and I'm a solutions architect at Amazon Web Services. In this session, we're going to walk you through, show you the steps on a solution on how to use automation to control costs on AppStream fleets. So let's get this started. In terms of the agenda, I'm going to introduce you to the blog post from which the solution has been made and walk through the steps in action and finally conclude with the references. Cost optimization has been the top priority for our customers during this year. Cost optimization comes in various forms, optimizing from the compute, storage, database, etc. But in this solution and in this session, we're going to focus on the AppStream specific solution. And the best of it is using the automation. So you just have to set this up once and the rest of them is taken care automatically without any additional manual intervention. This blog post has been authored by one of our colleagues a couple of months ago, and I will be using this as a reference to show this in action in AWS Management Console. In the walkthrough, I'll take a few minutes to go through the blog post in a summarized form and then switch to the console to show the different elements here. So this is the blog post that I was referring to. I'll put this link in the description section as well for your consumption. This solution or this blog post takes a two-prong approach. The first one is in the right side of how to actually control the cost using an event-bridge scheduler solution along with Lambda function. In majority of the cases, if you have multiple AWS accounts and have large amount of AppStream fleets, it is very unlikely that all the fleets would be running 24/7 at all times, or there will be a need for it as well, right? For example, if it is in the development environment, it is probable that it will be heavily used during the normal business hours of 8 to 5 or 9 to 6. And during the off business hours and in the weekends, it may not be as heavily utilized. So in this solution, it takes this particular scenario and using the event bridge scheduler option of starting and stopping the instances only during the required times as defined by the business needs, right? The second part is, suppose if this solution has not been implemented or not been implemented properly, there are chances that the AppStream fleets will be running all through long. So we will have to do some checks and balances in place. Nobody wants to have a surprise bill at the end of the month. So this first prong, the other prong, will use the CloudWatch billing alarm and a notification capability to notify the right people at the right time. So the team has a lot of runways to make adjustments and still manage the cost. So it doesn't exceed the budget, right? So the key services here that is used are the event bridge, and specifically the scheduler capability within the event bridge, the Lambda function. Obviously, between these are the different services, so we need to use IAM roles with the corresponding permission policies. We will take advantage of the alarm section in the CloudWatch, simple notification service, and then the notification as well. So let's switch to the AWS Management Console. Here is the AppStream fleet that is currently in the running state. One thing I want to point out is the tags that needs to be specified upfront for each of the fleets. If you have 50 fleets, maybe some of them are running in production, so which may not be used to stop or shut down. Other things like I said, development environment might need this tags. So we can use is optimized and the value as yes. This is suggested in the blog post and I'm walking through the same steps here. So I have already tagged the AppStream fleets. Then comes the event bridge. In the event bridge, we go to the schedules under the scheduler option. There are two schedules that are created. One is the start and the stop. I'll click on the start to indicate what this contains. The schedule is using a cron job starting at 9 a.m. Monday to Friday. And the other schedule obviously is the stop schedule that gets triggered at 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. And both of these schedules target the same Lambda function, which will just show it in just a second here. Because there is a service to service interaction, there is an appropriate IAM role that communicates and has the appropriate permissions between the event bridge and the Lambda as outlined here. Switching to Lambda function, I have highlighted the one that is relevant for our situation, AppStream Fleet Scheduler. Clicking on this, I'll go into the function. Just a quick walkthrough of what this function does. As you might know that we have tagged the fleets for a certain key and a value. So it identifies those set of fleets. What it does is, if it is in the stop state, it starts the fleet, or if it is in the running state, it stops the fleet. It's simple if-else function. That's why we are using the same Lambda function in both the start and the stop situation in the event bridge. Okay. So both the stop as well as the start will use the same target. You can do both of them. Okay. So to test it, you do not need to wait for the 9 a.m. UTC time or 6 p.m. You can do a quick testing from within the Lambda function console itself. So you create a test event if you're doing this for the first time. So the test event consists of, I already have the test event and created with the empty JSON body. So we can do a test here. Click on test and it completes. So going back to this fleets, right now this is in the running state. And if I refresh, it will go to the stopping state. The Lambda function has invoked has identified that this fleet with the appropriate tag is in the running state, so it called the API called as stop fleet. We'll let this running for, it will take a few minutes to get into the stop state. In the meantime, we'll look into the other components. We talked about this portion right now, as of now. We showed the scheduler, two schedules created under event bridge, the Lambda function. We'll also show the IAM role here, configuration, the permissions. So this is a role which has certain actions. The Lambda function has to have the permission to stop the fleet if it is running, to start the fleet if it is stopped already. It should be able to describe the fleets because we will have to filter the total number of fleets with the appropriate tag values. So describe fleets is needed and also the tags for each of the resource. So these are the minimum permissible policy that is needed by the Lambda function to go ahead and make the automated work happen. Okay. Now we will come to this portion. Before going into the CloudWatch alarm configuration, I want to highlight one setting here in the billing preferences. Go to the billing cost management. In the preferences and settings, billing preferences, in the alert preferences, you will have to enable the CloudWatch billing alerts if it is the first time. Since I have already enabled it, I can no longer disable it back. It's already enabled. Okay. Once this gets enabled, then the next set of steps happen. In the CloudWatch alarm, again, this one has already been created, but I will show you to you how it will be created. I'll click on this alarm. What this indicates is I have set up an alarm for a threshold of $150, and anything below that is an acceptable state, and anything above would be an alarm state. That needs to be notified to a certain set of actions. It says that when an alarm, send a message to a topic and an SNS topic name here, which means that if the threshold increase $150, if the AppStream fleet is left up and running for an extended period of time, obviously it might shoot up the cost. It gets triggered by this alarm condition, and this alarm takes an action to give this information to the topic. Switching to the SNS notifications service, topics, and this is the topic that was created. The subscription for this topic is a notification to an endpoint here, which means that as you are seeing the flow from left to right, the alarm gets triggered. It sends a notification to an SNS topic. The topic has been subscribed to set of activities, and here in this case it's only one, and that one subscription is a email endpoint which will send a notification to this email address. So I get notified immediately and I can take corrective action right away. Let me go back to the fleets to see if it has completely stopped. Okay, now it has completely stopped. We can do another test to see the other side of it. Going back to node Lambda function. Now that according to this Lambda function, we are already in the stop state. So when I trigger this function one more time, it should start the fleet. Let's see this in action. So I will click this test. Okay. It is stopped right now. And I will refresh it. It will go to the starting state. So this is a quick way of testing it right away rather than waiting either for the specific period of time as outlined in the scheduler. Once this portion works, then the scheduler can automatically trigger at the times that you are specified in the cron expression. Keep in mind the appropriate UTC times differences along with your local zone times as well. Okay. So let me switch back to the console presentation. So we did a walkthrough of the entire blog post and saw this in action of stopping and starting the AppStream fleets. To conclude, I wanted to share these reference links from the official documentation here. The first one is Event Bridge Scheduler. We only touched one portion of the Event Bridge capability, that's a scheduler. Event Bridge has a lot other capability that has integration with various AWS services that you can put into very creative use cases. So if you get some time, please do check it out. The second one is the Lambda function. Again, and the third one is the CloudWatch. We talked about only the billing alarm portion here. There are other elements within CloudWatch which are logs, metrics, traces, etc. These are important tools that you will have to keep them in a pocket for observability and for monitoring purposes. And last but not the least, the simple notification service that have been used as a form of notification to either individual team member or the entire team as such, depending upon the severity of the situation. This concludes this quick walkthrough of automated way of optimizing the cost for the AppStream fleets. Hope you found this session useful. Thank you. Bye.